Today, we're going to trace the incredible story of the Bible, but I want you to think of it less like a single book and more like a baton being passed in an epic relay race, a race that stretches across thousands of years of human history. And this race has a fascinating, kind of mind-bending twist, one that seems almost impossible when you first hear it.
Right out of the gate, we hit a massive problem. The original pages, the actual scrolls and parchments the authors first wrote on, they're all gone. Every single one was lost to antiquity. So how in the world can anyone claim that the Bible we have today is accurate? That's the huge question we're going to unpack together.
So the first leg of our relay race, it doesn't even start with a pen. It starts with the human voice. Before it was ever a book you could hold, the Bible was what you might call orature. It was this living, breathing collection of stories, laws, and songs that were performed, memorized, and passed down generation to generation.
And this marks a really fundamental shift in how we preserve information. You've got orality over here. It's dynamic, it's alive, it's held in the shared memory of a community. Then you have literacy, which is fixed, you can carry it with you, and it's preserved on something physical, like a scroll. The Bible's entire journey is this constant dance between these two incredibly powerful ways of communicating.
Eventually, that baton was passed from the speaker to the scribe, and this was an absolutely crucial handoff. Scribes began this incredibly painstaking process of taking all these treasured oral traditions and committing them to writing on scrolls of papyrus and parchment. This is how the first written scriptures came to be. And we're right back to that startling fact. Not a single one of those original documents survived. I mean, whether it was just wear and tear, fires, or the simple passage of so much time, those first drafts are all gone. So, if we don't have the originals, what do we actually have?
This timeline really puts the problem into perspective, doesn't it? You can see this huge gap, over 250 years, between when the last books were written and our earliest complete copy, the Codex Sinaiticus. Now, during all that time, the text was being copied by hand over and over again. That's a lot of time for mistakes to creep in. So how do we possibly bridge that gap?
Well, the answer is these things: manuscript witnesses. So while the original is gone, we have thousands of ancient, handwritten copies made by scribes all across the ancient world. Each one is a witness that points back to that original text. It's kind of like having thousands of overlapping photographs of a person you've never actually seen. You could piece them all together to create an incredibly accurate picture of what they looked like.
And this is the result. It's pretty amazing. By painstakingly comparing all those thousands of witnesses, scholars can spot the scribal errors. They can cross-reference all the tiny variations, and they can reconstruct the original text with an estimated 99% accuracy. So the big takeaway here isn't that we have the original, it's that we have something even better, an army of ancient copies that all testify to what it said.
Okay, let's get to the next leg of this race. This is where it's all about translation. The message, now pretty solid in Hebrew and Greek manuscripts, is about to break out of the ancient world and just explode onto the global scene, sprinting across cultures and languages. The real game changer here was the invention of the printing press in the 15th century. I mean, this was like strapping a rocket engine to our relay runner. All of a sudden, the Bible could be mass-produced, making it accessible in a way nobody had ever imagined. And that just fueled this massive demand for translations into the languages people actually spoke. You see, modern translation isn't usually just one giant leap from, say, ancient Greek into a remote tribal language. It's another relay. First, scholars work from the original manuscripts to create super accurate translations in what we call gateway languages, like English or French. Then, those gateway Bibles become the starting point for the next wave of translations into minority languages. And get this, just look at the sheer amount of work that gets poured into a single gateway language. There are around 900 different English translations alone. All of that brainpower, all of that scholarship, creates an incredibly reliable foundation that other translators can then build on to bring the text into thousands of other languages around the world. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most challenging leg of our race. The finish line today isn't just about reaching big countries with millions of people. It's about getting the message to these smaller, often non-literate communities and translating the scriptures into their own heart language.
And this table just shows how wildly different that work is. When you look at Bibles for majority languages, the focus is all about formal accuracy, deep textual analysis, usually led by outside experts. But for minority and oral cultures, the goal completely flips.
It's about discipleship and spiritual growth. The foundation isn't a library full of books, it's the community's own living oral traditions.
This has really led to a revolutionary new model, church-owned translation. So instead of some big organization from the outside leading the charge, the local churches take ownership. Foreign experts might help out as coaches, but it's the native speakers who are in the driver's seat. They're the ones making sure the translation truly speaks to their own people. It's a total flip of the script.
And now, in this really fascinating twist, this final leg of the relay brings the entire journey full circle. After centuries focused on writing, printing, and literacy, the cutting edge of Bible translation is actually returning to its spoken word roots.
And here's why that's so important. The vast majority of people who still don't have the Bible in their language, they don't primarily communicate through writing. They're oral learners. For them, a printed book isn't the best way to get the message. A spoken story is.
So translators are using these really cool, innovative methods like oral drafting. Here's how it works. A native speaker listens to a passage from a gateway Bible, and then they immediately retell it, translating it out loud into their own language in a way that sounds totally natural and fits their own storytelling traditions. It completely bypasses the need for literacy and creates a translation that's powerful, accurate, and just feels right.
And this map shows you exactly why this return to orality is so crucial right now. The center of global Christianity isn't in Europe or North America anymore. It has decisively shifted to the global south, to Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And these are the very places where most of these oral cultures live, and where the church is growing the fastest.
So we end right back where we started. The Bible's epic journey began as a spoken word, passed from person to person. After a long, long age of literacy and print, it seems like the final frontier is returning to the power of the human voice. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As our own technology and culture keeps changing, is the future of this ancient text not in the written word, but in the spoken one?